Okay, Supreme Court.
Yeah, let's hit it. Yeah, yeah.
Right, it's not too often that the Supreme Court is in the news. Of course, I think the Supreme Court, and this is something that comes up every now and again, is this idea that I think people think the Supreme Court is this hallowed institution that's been around forever. And of course, it was established in
1999.
2009.
Oh wow, that late!
Yeah.
I thought it was quite early in the Blair years. I'm getting mixed up.
The bill that went through Parliament was 2005.
Okay.
But the court wasn't established until Brown in 2009.
Right. Okay.
But they're in the news massively, leading the news this morning because of this this ruling on what a woman is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is a very 2025 story. Yeah. Because and somebody actually commented, somebody in the STP said, I'm having to explain this story to my child today, and it feels very weird because the child is saying, what do you mean a court had to say what a woman is? Like, it seems like a weird thing for us. Now, I respect the fact that we are probably on one side of the issue, and I'd like to think the majority of the country are, which is that a woman is a biological woman.
Yeah.
But there will be those on the other side that are, disagree with our optimism from this court ruling. So the Supreme Court have said that they've ruled that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act, which was 2010,
That's
Equality
right.
Act.
Yep.
That those terms refer to a biological woman and biological sex. Now, trans rights groups have come out and said we shouldn't be too concerned, and they've tried to downplay some of the worries that they think their followers, members will have, by saying that the Equality Act still has protections for people that have undergone gender reassignment, because that's one of the protected characteristics.
Just be careful, because the protected characteristic is not having undergone gender reassignment. Okay. It includes anybody just considering gender reassignment. So,
yeah, and that came up at your talk on the weekend.
It did, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, what do you make of this? Because to me, it sort of seems, in a way, a non-story, but then I can see that this will actually have a lot of repercussions.
Yeah, so, I mean, I massively welcome it. I think it's a fantastic ruling. My X feed this morning was full of people celebrating and crying and being very, emotionally involved in it. And it will, for many women, be a real relief that it's really clear. So what the ruling says is that even if somebody has a gender recognition certificate, a GRC, that doesn't make them into the thing that falls within the legal meaning of woman.
And a gender recognition certificate, how do you obtain one of those?
You have to you have to have evidence that you suffer from gender dysphoria, and you have to have been living in the opposite sex for 2 years, opposite gender, I suppose, for 2 years. And there's not that many.
And that has to be signed off by 2 doctors.
I think that's right, yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I think sorry, just to backtrack a little bit, the ruling came from Scottish law that was, I think it was about the number of women on boards, on company boards.
Yes, yeah, quotas.
And they defined woman there as meaning somebody who was born female or who had a GRC, a gender recognition certificate. And that's effectively where this challenge came from. The reason it's important for a lot of women is because it does mean that even if you have a GRC, biologically born men can't use women's changing rooms, women's toilets, all those kind of situations where women have felt very unsafe when,
And is this what that ruling means, that people with a GRC can't now use bathrooms of the opposite sex, gender? At this point, I get confused.
Yeah, well, it means if ever there's a legal challenge, the law will say,
okay,
somebody born man is not a woman. Mm-hmm. And a woman is an adult human female, which, as you say, feels obvious, but it hasn't been. So I think that's the first thing to say, is that I really welcome this decision. It's interesting that in their explanation of their decision, the judges refer to quite a lot of situations where this has been problematic, like sports. So they don't rule that trans women can't take part in women's categories in sport, but they do say that it seems illogical for that to be the case. So in many sports, that's governed by the sports ruling body. It's not a legal thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they have given a really strong steer that in lots and lots of situations, we need to be very clear that when we say woman, we mean biological woman. So that's great. What was I thought quite interesting as well about the decision, though, was that the judge said something along the lines of, but this shouldn't be viewed as a victory for one side over the other. Now, whether it should or it shouldn't, I'm not sure that's what the judiciary should be saying. You know, they should just be ruling on the law. I think he's trying to kind of dampen down the culture war issues around this, but I'm not sure that that's the role of a judge to do that. And whatever they say anyway, I think it will be seen very much as a victory. I think we should always say that even, people who are overjoyed by this decision aren't doing that because they want to disrespect or distress trans people. I think almost everybody would say that people should be allowed to live the life that they want. But the situation in which it becomes problematic is when people want you to respect the way that they are believing themselves to be. And that's when the kind of real tensions around this come out. So anyway, I think it will be seen as a bit of a victory in the whole culture war thing. But in my view, it's absolutely the right decision. I very much welcome it.
Well, it will definitely be. It's already being seen as a victory for, you can see on the news the women's rights advocates cracking champagne open, and they're certainly treating it like a victory, as perhaps they should. I wonder if you say this is not about demonising trans people, or and you said everybody. I don't know how wide ranging this is, but most people would sort of agree with the fact that you should be able to live your life as long as you're not affecting others.
Yeah.
And I imagine that the argument from the other side is, like, I'm not living my life if you're forcing me into a bathroom where I don't feel I belong.
Yeah. And I mean, my view on toilets is that we do need to have some third spaces, and I know that's not very practical in many situations, but I do think it's absolutely the case that women's bathrooms should only be for women.
And women, as we found out today, means biological women.
Adult human females.
Yeah. Who'd have thought it?